when you made that transition for you, you took a half a step backwards from a service standpoint to take a step forward from a consistency standpoint. And it makes sense. It's a choice that we make. It's a choice that you didn't have to make, and you could have. And I think it's the same thing. It's right now, our choice is really geared around like not yet taking that half a step backwards or making sure that when it becomes more necessary to make a change, that we've got the right resources in place to make the change.
Welcome to Stop Whining About Real Estate. Join us as we chat, sip, banter, and wine with the best in the biz. Grab a glass of your favorite vino, sit back, relax, and let's wine together.
We are on, what's the name of this podcast again?
Stop Whining About Real Estate.
Perfect. Thank you, Sarah. So I'm off today.
Wow. But this is perfect.
You know what it is? I think Sarah's canceled our last handful of podcasts. And so like my brain is mush. I'm forgetting everything we're doing. But how Sarah Birnbaum, my cohort, we've got some awesome guests today. Super excited. They're in the industry that Sarah and I are in, which is really cool. We've got Danny and Ari Tokar of the Tokar team at Benchmark. Very nice to have you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Let's get started. I want to first off, like the fact that you guys are brothers and in the industry, I've always thought was really cool. I've heard a lot about you guys for a long time. And so I know you and I have met at a few different events, but I don't think Danny, you and I have ever met, right? No. Awesome. Well, very cool to have you both. Tell us a little bit what it's like working with Dan.
You want to pick that?
Get right into it.
I had that. Yeah. I mean, it's honestly, it's as real as it gets. We decided to work together probably about 10 years ago. Before we ever decided to team up, we had a pretty open and honest conversation with each other about the difference between, family and work, and just making sure we're always open and honest with each other. And it actually works out pretty well. We've heard the horror stories about working with family and friends and family, and, it doesn't always work out, but we do balance each other well. We've had a lot of different, pros and cons of the way we do business and the way we think. It's
Maybe just position it differently.
Restart over.
Then
All that out.
Okay.
Let's realize that. I had a lot of good bloopers. You're plus plenty of who's getting bloopers.
No, it's been really cool, to be honest. I know sometimes it can be stressful working with people very, very close to you. But we've been really good about it. We've always just kept an open line of communication, and just, when he needs to be put in his place or I need to be put in my place about a certain topic or an idea, we're really good about that.
That's when we call our mom. We're like, side.
Is family all?
Danny did this to me.
Even you days.
Yes, our direct family, all of our
Our parents are down here. We were born and raised in Broward County, so like we've been down here forever. We have four, as we've gotten older, 4 people have joined us down here. My sisters who were up in New Jersey, one of them's down here now. One of our nephews out here. So yeah, and all of our cousins. There's like we all left at one point. And we all came back. So most of us are down this way.
So you said, did I pick up 10 years that you've been in the industry?
Ari's been with me for 10 years. I've been for just under 13.
Okay. Cool. What made you, so I'm assuming that you joined the industry because you saw what Danny was doing. Is that more or less how it worked?
Yeah. if we go back to when Danny got into the mortgage business, it was a good story there too. And when Danny got into the mortgage business, I was actually pretty close to transitioning careers as well at that point. Danny was really brand new. A couple of months in, I think he had just closed his first loan, and I was ready to make a transition. And we kind of talked about it at that point. And it was very brief because I'm like, you closed one loan, and Danny's like, I might go back to the restaurant business. And so I'm like, I'm in a different direction right now. But Danny went into mortgage, and really once he got his legs under him, really started taking off. And I made my transition. We both come from a hospitality background. Different sides of it. But when I made my transition out, Danny continued to, started to grow, continued to grow. And I wasn't really happy with what I was doing. So about 2 years in, we kind of got to talking again. And that was the point where, and that's where the family part comes in, because we are very different. Our temperaments are different. Our experience level is different on things, but we're wired the same in the important things that matter and working together. And we had that conversation about like, listen, we're family first. If this working together thing doesn't work out, it's all good. And we've never been mad at each other out of a work conversation, which is good. I mean, we hang up and be like, man, like whatever, but like it has never had any negative bearing on like our family relationship. Because if it did, we wouldn't be doing it together. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I joined him about 2.5 years in. So that's where, we've been smooth sailing since then, right?
Got it. Well, so in the service industry, was one in the front of the house, one in the back of the house?
Kind of, a little bit of both. Yeah.
Oh, because you mentioned different, because I do want to get into that afterwards, but I was trying to see if that was like, okay, that it's always kind of been that way. One is more usually, and again, have you guys done your disc profile test?
It's been a while.
Okay. We're not going to do it right. Yeah, it wasn't where it was like, I was down, but the honest is where I was thinking about it was more about, typically is one more sales oriented, more customer service oriented, really loves people, and is one more systems and process.
So, so Ari's definitely more systems oriented. And I would say I'm a little bit more sales oriented. Funny enough, though, the majority of my hospitality career was in the back of house. I worked in a lot of kitchens, worked on a lot of lines, worked a lot of long hours. Yeah. Over the fryers, grills, sushi lines, all sorts of, I did do some stints in the front of house, but the majority of my career in the restaurant business and the hospitality was all back of house.
And I was opposite, because I was mostly in management. I worked in really high volume, like sports venues. So I worked in stadiums and arenas and racetracks. And so my job was feeding 20,000 to 60,000 people a day. I might have had 5 to 15 or 20 managers and 300 to 1,000 employees, depending on what venue I was at. So it was very different to have to be super systems oriented in that place for that to work. But it's funny, because as we transitioned into mortgage and then got used to what we were doing, we're lucky. Like, we both have very strong sales skills and relationship building skills. We also both have really strong technical skills and back end skills. I say we're lucky. Sometimes it's not that lucky, because we struggle in figuring out who should focus on what, or how we should actually divide up certain things in our world. Because sometimes we all like to sell, and sometimes we all like to be behind the computer screen, but actually breaking up those tasks has been something that we've had some challenges with over the years. Because I know you said you never find the perfect loan officer, but I mean, there's two that are pretty good at both sides of things here. I say that like kind of facetiously, so it's been tough. If I was amazing at sales and terrible on the back end, and Danny was amazing on the back end and terrible at sales, it's like naturally easier to be like, hey, guess what we should do?
Right.
You should be on the front end and you should be on the back.
Totally get it. But as you grow, you will be forced to pick a lane, pick something. And, you want to hire people around you who do things that are better than you. Like that is, and by the way, working in a kitchen and doing the things that you have done, a kitchen is a wonderful example of systems and processes. In order to get the outcome, which is your plate, your food, whatever it is, to be out on time, like you're working extremely in a methodical or in a systematic way. So I love both of it, because what I love about sales. So for me, I learned it from the car industry, and again, it's not at all what you think. We were a non-negotiating store. So it didn't matter if you wanted to offer $1 less, or, I wouldn't do it. We weren't able to do it. So in order to learn sales for us, I had to learn through a process, and that process was very defined. And everyone who was doing the process that was cutting corners, that would skip a step and just try to go for the close too early, all of those guys that had been doing it for so many years, right? Just like most people, the longer you've been doing something, that you start to cut corners, you get a little lazier. They would close at a percentage that was so far less than mine. And so I was able to become number one right away. And now there's a funny thing that we laugh at, because they sent it to us. They're like, sometimes they say the dumbest loan officer is always number one. And the idea behind it is that you're not getting in your own way. You're
not overthinking it.
Yeah, right. Everyone else who wants to be number one is investing a little bit of time over here, a little bit of time over there. But the playbook is pretty simple. Just keep doing the playbook, and each person's playbook is different, depending on what the relationships are and stuff like that. But so anyways, I wanted to say that your systems and and processes based on being in the back of the house actually prepare you much better than people think.
Oh, for sure. I think hospitality in general prepares you, especially for this, better than most people would ever think.
Oh, yeah. We talk about that. And when we talk about some growth plans and listen, it's always great if you bring on a seasoned loan officer, a team, an office, a branch, whatever, and they're doing volume and you jive. It's tough to bring those people on, right? So
It's tough to find those people.
Right. You want that, or okay? Can I ask you a personal question? So, like, if Danny does Barbara Jones's loan, and I don't need to know percentage, but do you guys do you split your revenues, so to speak, or do you guys pay yourself like eat what you kill? Meaning, you would make.
we are partners. We are equal partners.
Okay, all right. That's what I was trying to politely get along. Ask without like being too nosy, but
we're first starter business we weren't, but that's where we've grown to as we've balanced.
Sarah, he did the same thing. We were each kill, and then now we got ourselves on. It doesn't map. So like for us, Jared does so many different things that I need him focused on that, not worrying about revenue. And what would happen is that in the beginning, it's not an easy transition. Like I'm going to do whatever my, I don't know, 7 million this month, and he might do 2 million, and he's making the same money that I am from that standpoint. Like the egos get in the way a little bit.
We experienced that early on. You do. Not with us so much. We had other people that worked with us, right? And one of the things that Danny did phenomenally well early and was very giving with, because Danny's a very giving person, right? Is he said, when I came on and we brought some other people on board, like, look, I'm going to provide opportunity. Okay. I'm going to open a door for you. Okay. It's up to you to walk in that door. I'm going to support it. But you got to walk in that door. You got to do what you have to do to turn that into business. And so with that, there's some sort of split, let's call it, that's involved with opening the door to somebody. And we saw this so often. This was years ago, probably 8, 9 years ago, where people would, they'd love it when they got the opportunity. But then all of a sudden, a deal comes in and it's a $600,000 deal, and they see what they're giving up, and all of a sudden it's not good enough, right?
Yeah.
And we went through this because it's always, it's good enough when you're not bringing it in, but then all of a sudden you get a taste of it. It's like, well, I want more. And that's a tough thing. I think it's one of the things that works for us as brothers, works for us as business partners, even if we weren't brothers. But we had some other people that really struggled with that. And we struggled with that, ultimately weren't the right fit for our team, because you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Of course.
You can't be like, we're going to open our book to you.
Listen, even
And now you're going to take it.
really or not, like 60% of marriages end in because of divorce, and the majority of the time it has to do with money. So like, I get it, but it takes an extreme amount of, Jared and I go through it too. Like when we had to make sacrifices, I'm the one who had to sacrifice financially in order to, but I'm also not married. I don't have kids, and I've been doing it longer. So I had more money, so I could do it. But we get back to like, now we're doing well. And instead of saying me, I'm elongating the process of getting my money back. Right. And I'm doing it for me the way that I see it. And this is where it becomes a very difficult decision, and not everyone can do this. But the point is that I rather, the same reason that we just talked about, I rather he not focuses on the fact that, oh, Emmanuel's about to make double what I'm going to make, versus, hey, I'm allowed to make money. We're doing better. So I'm making a little bit more money. We're doing a little bit more money. Like with Sarah, like the way we set up her comp is same concept. Like she started doing well, and I go, she's going to get stagnant. And it's not that she's not like it is. Like, it's not that, it's human nature.
I'm not stagnant.
I'm not saying you are stagnant, but I'm saying you're going to get stagnant. And so what we did is we said, all right, she wants to grow. She's financially motivated, which is a good thing, right? And so we go, all right, well, let's increase your commission on new business, right? So tell me that you want to go meet someone else. We increase it on that.
And that's 100% our philosophy with people in business development roles, or even just standalone loan officer. Mate, wouldn't it just get to start that? He's specifically to business development. At the end of the day, business development is a looking forward job, not a looking backward job. You could have brought in $10 million in business last year. But if you just sit around and even
Hold with a 10 million.
relationships, if it creates another 10 million this year, that's not why you're getting paid. Got paid.
Especially if who she's dropping off, or I say she meaning her, but like whoever you guys have as well, especially who they're dropping off. Like we just all said, 3 of us are all very good loan officers, right? So for that most part, if she's dropping off a client or a relationship, or maybe once in a while somebody doesn't like me. I don't know if anybody doesn't like you, but like it's not like it's going to happen, but it's not like we're losing her that much business. Most of the time, it's going to continue to do well. Whereas it's not like advertising where like the phone rings and whoever knows, like it's not random pickup where the guy who does one loan every 2 months all of a sudden is now handling her relationship.
No, and something you said too, just, part of the area where we balance each other well is we do have very different personalities. Our partners know that. We're super open with them. We have very open dialogue. And at the end of the day, some clients fit better with Ari, some clients fit better with me.
Define those personalities.
I am very simple-minded, straight to the point, blunt, just say what's on my mind, wear my emotion on my sleeve. And that's just how I am 24/7. A lot of that comes from just my upbringing and being in the restaurants and just, literally, I was in management roles as well, but when you're managing back of house versus front of house,
Totally different world.
totally different world. So, a little up around the edges. I'm a much more just goes
Salt of the earth.
though, where Ari is much more analytical, he speaks fast and he, talks a lot, but he slows down in his brain and he analyzes every piece of everything, where I'm kind of just like, my analysis is like right out the mouth.
And one's not better than the other.
No, of course not.
Danny's right on that, but like I'm more analytical. I'm more diplomatic. That was the word that he was looking for too. Like at the end of the day, there's certain like relationships and conversations that are just, sometimes they're difficult clients and Danny's just like, you should take this one. Right. And our partners, because we are equal partners in what we do. And it's not like, hey, this is my person, this is your person, at least not anymore. It was years ago. Some of them just kind of gravitate towards me or gravitate towards him, and that's good because we're ultimately giving them the choice.
Yeah.
But it's a choice within our family, not a choice to, no offense, they don't call you because they don't like him. Or they call me.
100%. Yeah.
If we both piss them off, you can have. So at the end of the day, it's pretty much how it fits. But I am more analytical. I'm more diplomatic. I'm a little bit more even keeled. Sometimes to my detriment because I don't. Danny is a lot quicker to kind of jump into something, to make a decision, to just do it, and kind of figure it out later. And I'm like, no. Like, I'm not ready to like just do it yet. Like, can we like actually plan this out? And Danny's like, oh no, sorry, I'm already driving there. I was like, so that's yeah.
I've planned it all. It's fine.
Exactly. Like, but yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's one of the differences.
Also, just tie back to the hospitality thing. I work a long time. You said that hospitality kind of leads to success in this business. And I worked 7 years for $30,000 a year, for a nonprofit Jewish summer camp. I made no money. I was super happy until it was kind of like a brainless job for me. And then decided, I need to get out of this and go do something else. So then I went back into restaurant management and I was working between $40,000 and $60,000 a year. I was working 100 hours a week between in the restaurant and drive time. They had me going to Pinecrest, Homestead, Kendall, Wellington, all over the place. Every restaurant except for Pompano, which was the closest to home. So when you kind of live that life for no money, whatever money you make gets taken out of taxes and healthcare, and then you never see your family. That was really, for me, it's like nothing in this business is too hard.
Right.
Nothing is too stressful. Like every time we have a bad day or a bad loan or something, I always ground myself. I can go back to working for $30,000 to $60,000 a year, 100 hours a week, and have no life to show for it and no money in the bank. Or I can work really hard, take great care of people, and get paid along the way.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's for me, at least personally, I can't speak to Ari, but like going back to my past life,
The perspective is
for a second, I have a bad day is just immediately like gets me out of that mindset. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm doing good things right now. And that's not going to stop. So just, I feel like if I didn't live that life for so long, I would never be able to relate to that. You have a bad day, a bad week, and it's like, it's super easy to quit and feel like you're not good enough. I mean, it took me 6 months to get a lead, and it took me another 6 months to close a deal. So it's like, and in that first year, I almost quit.
Well, yeah, that's tough.
You know, my boss and mentor at the time, who I happen to know from my restaurant days, and he kept reminding me and just reiterated to me, hey, if you want to open a restaurant tomorrow and you wanted to go and achieve your goals of running a successful restaurant, fast forward 12 months. Are you making any money? Are you successful? Like, you have a life? And don't answer any of this stuff right now. And I went home, thought about it, and it's like I realized, okay, I'm probably a year into a restaurant. I'm probably losing money, probably have no life. My family may have left me. And the reality is,
I've never seen daylight.
I don't know where I'm going, and that's a lot of restaurant owners and managers' lives. So there's just a little context to kind of like, you said success from hospitality. And I really do believe it had a huge, huge part just in my upbringing.
Oh, for sure. I think it gives you perspective. I think it gives you an understanding of how to work with people, how to deal with certain people, how to work with certain relationships, how to get the person who's the most angry, whether it's their schedule, the shifts that they're getting, the money that they're making, or the client that hated their experience from the moment they walked in to the moment that they left, and getting them to smile again and come back. Like, all of that teaches you so many things. I worked in hospitality for 15 years, managing, serving, bartending, never back of the house, but I spent a lot of time in the back of the house, just overseeing stuff and becoming really good friends with those people and just everybody in the restaurants that I worked with. And it teaches you so many things. And even the worst of days in this industry, it's fine. It is and it isn't, though. The other thing is that I'll go to certain places and I'll see things that are going badly. We had a lunch experience the other day and they were short-staffed, and I'm watching everybody sit there with no food on their tables, and they're all getting angry, and they're going up to the counter and they're asking where their food is. And my anxiety started going, and I was like, what is happening in the back? Why isn't this part cooked? Why aren't they ready for the lunch rush? What is going to happen? These people are getting angry, and my anxiety is like moving, grooving, and I was like, I need to get out of here.
I've been out of the 13 years, and I literally cannot go out all of
It's tough. It's tough. It's really tough. And like, you'll see a server walk by and you're like, oh, they're having a bad day. I don't want to complain, but I know they're having a bad day because it's this, a ton of empathy, a ton. Yeah, for sure.
I do love that, that concept of what you're talking about, of not having a bad day. So I think that was, and at the end of the day, we are very fortunate. This is a very well-paying industry, real estate in general, especially once you get to a certain level and you're doing a certain amount of business, as definitely are. And one of the things that I love, and then this will segue into, I want to hear how you got into, but the barrier to entry into this profession tends to be high. In today's day and age, I don't know if I can't imagine trying to start in the mortgage industry. Let's say if you knew somebody coming out of college or even somebody who's 25.
Ari's already thinking, he's analyzed.
Imagine they're going to start February 2026, right? They're out there. There's fewer realtors. There's fewer transactions. They're going to go up against the Tokars and the St. Germain people and everybody around us. And are they really going to, how are they going to win?
I don't 100% agree with you. Okay, the barrier to entry is hard because it's high. Because first of all, it's some of the people that we've been around, especially within our company, right, that are having the most success right now. They don't have the lessons of the past to weigh on that.
So they're not jaded.
Yeah. But tell me about how does someone, so unless they have money, unless they live with their parents, how do you go, imagine being married with kids and say, I want to go start this new industry. This is not a
salaried position
or of any sort.
I think it's just not foremost, they got to understand the commitment that it takes in any business. No matter what industry you're in, you're starting your own business. When you don't have a salary, when you're 100% commission, you are self-employed. And you have to take that mindset when you show up on the first day, even before you show up on the first day, that hey, this is my business and how am I going to be successful in this business? I think I disagree with Ari. I do think it's very difficult. I think you need to have some relationships, some contacts, spheres that can help you when you start. Because I was not in a position when I started to make no money.
Right.
Fortunately, started I was brought in a support role because the gentleman that I was working for needed someone they can trust.
Great way to learn, by the way.
Great way to learn. I had the peace of mind knowing that, okay, worst case scenario, if this doesn't work out, I'm still going to make what I made in the restaurant last year. And God forbid I had to, I can go back to the restaurant.
Right. Okay.
I don't know that I would have taken that leap of faith if I didn't have.
Sure, by yourself. Yeah.
He probably had just started her own business. My wife had just started her own business. We did not have a ton of money in the bank. It wasn't like the right time, so to speak, for us.
And there were some people that we met along the way that we knew in our heart would have been really great in the mortgage space, that were friends of ours or people we knew from, and they were like, hey, cool, all we need is like $75,000 a year. We're good. And we're like, yeah, no. Right? Yeah. Okay, fine. I'll settle. Yeah, exactly. I'll settle for 100. So we experienced some of the other side. So I think we're saying two sides of the same coin. The barrier for entry to getting into this business is not challenging. The barrier to entry to know that like you're going to make money and not starve, if you had any sort of expense in your life, is high. Because can you come in day one and find a path to create some sort of stream of income within it? Yeah, but more don't than do. We've had a lot of people that have come in who had not been able to outlast their bank accounts or lack thereof. And so that part is tough. And then going back to like when I started. So when I started, again, I had transitioned out of hospitality, which kind of coincided with when I met my wife. I got married. I knew I didn't want to like travel around the country because I was moving a lot at that time. And when I transitioned out, I took a pay cut, and we worked through that. We worked through that together. It was a planned thing. When I came to join Danny was doing well. Danny wasn't doing like, hey, Ari, 75 or 100 grand a year. Well, right. So I basically said at that time, just, putting it out there, I was like, dude, I'm like, if I can get like $3,000 a month for the next 3 months, I know I could pay my bills. I'll figure it out from there. Right. And that's what I did. And like literally my 4th month, like I closed 4 loans.
But you had, so like, and I don't mean the but in terms of the biz, but in terms that like you had someone that you knew and trusted that could tell you the honest to God truth of what to expect. And you said 3 years you were doing it. So like you could at least discuss over the holidays, how do you like it? What's it like? Like I just feel that to your point, if you have I think it was you, Danny, whoever said that had the relationships.
Danny.
If you have relationships, if you grew up with a parent who is a realtor, so you've heard about, I think that obviously increases the percentage of success.
Yeah.
One thing that really so I remember I graduated with a business degree and business manager or whatever it's called. And I remember really as well, but no, still. But I remember when I was graduating, like every single job offer was like Morgan Stanley, it was American Express. And they're like, come on in. We'll have you write down 100 people and then you can call them and bring I'm like, wait a minute. Look, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, why would my family trust me with their money? Like, that whole concept never made sense. I got super lucky. I actually, when I moved down to Florida in 2005, and AmeriQuest is who I started with. And I want to say my salary was like maybe 36 grand. And back then we were getting paid on percentage of revenue. So let's say if it was like 10%, which in our world, you'd be like, holy smokes, that's really low. But it's not when you don't know what other people are making. But at the time, like, it was an opportunity where, to your point, I knew I had enough that I could pay my bills. And then it only took 2 or 3 months. But I also got very lucky because AmeriQuest was spending a fortune in advertising. So our job was to answer the phone. If I had to come in today and be an outside salesperson, that is not an area that I love to be in. Hence why I'm the stronger person, right? Like I do. If my back's against the wall, I'm not going to eat. My family's not going to be able to support itself. There's nothing I can't do. I'm just telling you that if I'm building my own personal avatar of where I'm comfortable and happy, like that's not.
Yeah. And to that point, like Ari loves going out and networking in person way more than I'd rather sit behind the desk and make calls all day. And
I don't get some, and have That's it. It's the mix in between.
Yeah.
And then somewhere where it's where the struggle is sometimes, because it's like, okay, well, like, what do we do? Because it's just, it's a challenge sometimes. But yeah, I tend to do more face-to-face. I tend to do more, more networking, more events. I've been very, like involved for 10 years in our world. Like I'll drag Danny to a couple events, and it's not that he doesn't like it or doesn't care about being involved. It's just, Danny's at his best. And you come into our office, and when Danny's dialed in, like literally
Leave Danny alone.
leave Danny alone.
He's in the zone.
We get you work scale. You're at that's close. Yeah.
He can get 250, 300 calls a day in. The only thing he needs to know is who am I calling, right? If I can deliver, so there's a management piece, the structure piece, the system piece. If I can deliver to Danny who you called today, and I'm not saying I can drop the list on his desk, but generally speaking, good things happen, right? Because he's really personable and he loves talking to people, and like he can call and BS, and sometimes that's what we have to do. And he can call and ask for business because that's sometimes what we have to do. But at the end of the day, Danny's just there dialing. That's the best place for Danny to be.
On average, how many outbound dials are you making in a day?
It depends, but I try to do it harder.
I'll tell you that, no joke, in this day and age, you're in the top 1% of all loan officers because you do that.
Yeah. And
Getting them to make 10 dials.
Yeah. No,
And call 3 people, and it's like, man, I got to stuff. Shout.
This that well, they probably call them auto dots. In person. No pun intended.
you like the manual aspect of texting and calling and emailing. I might do it out of a CRM, but I'm manually doing it. I'm not automating any of that process. For me, if I'm not like manually involved some way, shape, or form, I can't, like, it doesn't fit in my brain. Like I said,
Zero retention of it
You're staying sharp.
I have 100% retention when
when you're doing it.
when I'm doing it.
100%. Yeah, I get
It
that.
just kind of happens. I'm like,
You're like, I spoke to you? Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, I did that day that I did the.
I can remember conversations that I had a decade ago with people or closings that I had.
I was intricately involved. I work much better that way.
Yeah, we both have really, really ridiculous recall, which like,
Is great and terrible.
but I mean, like, Danny will be like, "Could you remember that loan we closed that was like, he'll give you some minute detail about an appraisal where we had an issue on like, the day before closing 9 years ago. It's like, oh, it's this guy. We do that. And like to say,
But
I love to save you.
It's had a wet shit like that's how I made it.
I feel like, I don't know. I find this profession to be something that if you understand how the puzzle works, and then if you can now be proactive about the puzzle. So I'm very big on just saying, like, literally, I think the failure for any loan officer is you either don't know the questions to ask or you didn't ask them earlier. But if you do that process up front and you ask and you're on the phone, we've got some of our LOs who love to send an online application first prior to a conversation. I'm like, it gives, you want to talk about anxiety? That's my anxiety. Now I was trying to figure out, I'm like, I'm all out of sorts because you ruined my world and how I'm used to doing it. My initial conversation for me is the most important. When my brain is being turned on, I am underwriting in my head. I'm asking every single question. Wait, you've been there how, like anything that can go wrong is what I'm going through. And I feel like when everyone else just sends an online application, and don't get me wrong, I send one too. I send an online application after I've just spent 10, 15 minutes on the phone with you and I'm of comfort and I wrote all my notes. But just in general, like, tell me a little bit about your process. Like, are you guys doing it the same way? Like, what do you guys do?
we learned what you just described is a transition that we made when we first started, when I first came on board. And it's a good problem to have, but like, we were so ridiculously busy that we just sent the act, took it in, processed, right? So what that led to was some really good things, because there were months where we would get 200 applications a month. Like, holy crap, that's 200 applications a month, right? Our conversion was low. And our conversion was low for a couple of reasons. I'm not saying we knew this at the time, but I mean, like, the hindsight says we look as we, got some coaching and some feedback, as we looked at evaluated our own business. Well, why was our conversion low? Well, we didn't really take time to get to know people, right? We just sent them an application, said, fill this out. And a mortgage application, like we look at it every day. We know the 1003 like the back of our head. Well, like for someone that buys a house every 5 to 7 years, like those are intimidating questions. And many times people get to one question that they don't know how to answer and they stop. So not only is our conversion of the applications that's coming in low, but you're actually really only getting 60% or 70% of the applications that you send out to do it online back in the first place. So you're atrophying 30-40% of the people that you talk to before you even get a chance to earn their business, right? Then our conversion on what's coming in is low because you don't know anything about it. You're trying to figure it out as you go, or someone's trying to figure it out. So we made a really conscious decision a few years ago to totally flip that, because part of that was scripting too. Part of that was perfect, we'll send you the online app and do it. And we made this decision to change gears and say, no, you know what? We're missing the most important part of the process here, which is getting to know the people and building trust and building confidence. So we started changing what we said and what we did. And instead of saying, I'll send you the online app, or if you really, really want to, we can take your application, in person or online, we reverse that. Listen, we prefer to take your application one-on-one. We've got 10 more minutes right now. That's all it's going to take. Let's do that. So we manually take probably 50, 60% of our applications now. So we don't even send them the link anymore because we're already, we're 10 or 15 minutes into a getting to know you conversation. Okay. And what we have applied is if it's going to take 10 or 15 minutes more and we know 100% that application is coming in the door, and we've already asked them half the questions. Now we're just asking them in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, totally. I totally get it. And before Sarah, I don't know if you had started. Yeah, I think before you started, but I used to.
No, I was here when you were the only one that still took. God.
This is way back. So at our old company, old office, I used to do a full 1003 on my, so I'd say 1003, but really it was just my handwritten notes. And and then we would go back, and this is before we were using online application at all. My conversions were through the roof. Same reasons you just said. I'm building rapport, I'm asking all the right questions. The reason that we went to everyone has to do an online application for us is going to be, and I'll explain to you, it's account. We take one step back customer service wise, but we take 3 steps forward operational wise. Everything looks identical from the time the loan goes from here to here. We can close a loan faster, just as fast as anybody, or faster than the other, not comparing you guys, but the other 98% of the industry, we can blow them away because everything looks the same. And that's the downside. So for example, doing an online application, if somebody wants to say that one of our loan officers pulled somebody's credit without permission, hey, great, tell me about it. I can go back. I have an audit log. I can see you checked off here. You want to try and sue me that we texted you for business purposes? I can see you acknowledge here. That's where because when I was smaller and it was me as a loan officer and as a branch manager doing my thing, it was a lot. I was way better. And I still sometimes want to go back to that. I think that the technology that needs to improve, to your point, you are spot on about the loan application. You get a question and people go, all right, and then they get a little frustrated. It doesn't take that. It takes a couple more of those little spies and they go, screw this.
Yep.
And I'm not, I said, there's a lot of specs for the next 6 months.
And there really is a balance. We prefer to take it. There's a certain point where scale dictates that you can't do that anymore, or you have to give something else up that you do. And there's other things that we do that are more valuable than, I don't know about more valuable, but that are important on top of taking an application.
Sure. Just the declarations, by the way. Next time, you want to have a fun little game, just grab the declarations that are on an IRLA and ask a random person and see if they're able to go like this and answer them. Or if they're here's a time, are you borrowing any money for this person?
Yeah, from you. Yes, from you. Are you applying for mortgage? Yeah,
they are. They're not so. It's a little counterintuitive on how you're supposed to answer.
But
So, we do. We try to take the application. We don't always. Sometimes it's not convenient for us. Sometimes it's not convenient for them. But the more we can take, the higher that portion. We're getting 100% of the applications that we're taking, right? Our language.
I'll say, to Ari's point earlier, we are converting at a much higher level than we historically have since we've made that shift.
Of course, I would imagine.
It's more personable. There's no doubt. Here's the other piece of it too. Like, I'm big on objection. If you don't give me an objection, like, what Bookstore We Know or any of those books that say the same thing, like, there is no objection. I've got nothing to go after. I have no problem. I have nothing to solve. There's nothing to essentially try and find a solution for. So when you're on the phone with a person, if they say, great, and what's your social, Danny? And they're like, well, I'm not quite ready for that. Hey, not a problem. What was it that you were trying to achieve today? It sounds like you're not quite ready to commit to doing a loan application. Are you not in the market to buy a house? Like Rosie had told us that you were trying to get free for whatever it is you want to say, whatever scripting and whatever, is part of your verbiage. But the point is that you're able to handle the objection there. Whereas, let's say if that was you, and then whereas Ari had sent the online application, you'd have a system that keeps asking for this online application from this person. Meanwhile, they would have never sent it. But you at least knew even that she'd say, then you can go back, hey, Rosie, just want to let you know I spoke to so-and-so. And by the way, she's not quite ready. We're going to put her on a drip campaign in the CRM. We'll follow up with her. But, she wasn't quite ready. Unless you want to re-engage her, there's not a lot more that I can do.
You said it perfectly. Like, when you made that transition for you took a half a step backwards from a service standpoint to take a step forward from a consistency standpoint. And it makes sense. It's a choice that we make. It's a choice that you didn't have to make, and you could have. And I think it's the same thing. It's right now, our choice is really geared around, like, not yet taking that half a step backwards or making sure that when it becomes more necessary to make a change, that we've got the right resources in place to make the change. And that's really more probably human capital than systems, because we all have the systems, right? Like, we've been doing online apps for whatever, 8 years, 10 years. But that's, we have, our conversion has improved, our, just big picture profitability has improved. Like, the more you connect with people, the more trust exists in the relationship. It helps us be better partners, helps us be, provide better service to our clients. And we keep on doing it till we can't do that part anymore, right?
I love that.
The filters, so like we were talking about Matt Weaver before. And so, like, one of the things that I like it from his perspective, I don't like it compared to ours, but I like it from his perspective, which is, so I don't know if you know his system, but when you dial in, you're getting like call it a customer service type individual. Maybe they're licensed, maybe they're not, but it's not three of us type laws, right? And the reason that they don't stop, whereas is that they are making the assumption that someone behind whoever's taking the app may find an alternative solution, may find something else. And so if you get all the data, you get all the information. Whereas, hey, I think most of us would probably go, I just filed a bankruptcy yesterday. I have 3% to put down. Like, okay, like all of it is like, and I was trying to be extreme, but like, hey, Ari, you may want to wait a couple of years. Let's get back together in 2030.
So when we're having that conversation on the phone, because we are all quick, we're all analytical, we're all thinking about that, we're already underwriting the file in our head as this conversation's going sometimes.
But do you see it easy?
Well, no, so it's easy sometimes to be like, hey, maybe we should pump the brakes. The reality is that the tone of the conversation changes. What we do is even if I know 100% that it is a not right now, it's never a no. Sometimes it's a not right now. We'll continue on with the application. We, a long time ago, made a decision. We stopped auto credit pulls. So like, we don't automatically pull credit. We don't automatically pull credit once I hit the button, right? We have a choice. So if we have someone that we know realistically could be a 12-month down the road or 2 years down the road or whatever person, we'll still take the app. We'll still put them through some version of the process, because So some of the worst things that we see is when someone, gets told no or comes to us and said, I talked to someone 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and I've been working on let's say I'm working on my credit. So calls us and said they got 400 credit. We know we're not doing a loan for them. No one else is either. But it doesn't mean that there's not a chance ever. It just takes some work.
So let's say this though. Everyone I've ever referred to credit repair, and maybe it's just me, I want to say 1 out of 100 I've helped.
I'm not saying that is high.
Maybe it was your tone and the way you sent them to credit repair.
Not my tone. I'm using credit as an example, but that's not the only thing. Someone could have no assets and there's no reason for it.
So Ari's point of what he's attempting to say here is we're going to take the app regardless. We're always going to take the app. What we do with the app on the back end might be a little bit different depending on the scenario. But we always tell our clients and we always tell our agents, hey, we're never going to short circuit the process for you or your clients. Everybody's important. So it's we don't ever want an agent to call us with somebody that we say, oh yeah, by the way, we didn't take your app because that. We'd rather take that app and have that conversation. If Ari's point, not pull credit, not pull VOEs, not pull all the money.
The money costs us money.
Yeah, correct. And then still be able to provide a service to the client so they have some sort of plan. We just closed some.
They could have told you, by the way, they could have told you 5 minutes later in that conversation, oh, I forgot to tell you my so-and-so's wants to be on the loan and they make $5 million a month.
But it's get there. You might have them on, but I'm just, this is after prayer. I mean, I had someone that called me this morning that I had to go. I had to literally halfway do a phone call for our son's co-signing. And it's okay, they're going to qualify, right? We had someone that we closed last week that came to us 3 years ago with a 520 credit score. And I sat there and I spent 2 hours in my office face to face with them, talking through a bunch of scenarios that had no chance right now. They also had to file taxes for 3 years. So it was not a tomorrow thing. But we just closed last week.
That's awesome. So that's a good story though.
Reality is maybe, early on, I would have sent them the app, done it, and then kind of maybe it got lost in the shuffle. But now as we're being more strategic about actually taking the app and hearing this stuff, we figure out what to do with it on the back end. And
I love that. You guys
get them into our system.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if they're in our system, the follow-up makes more sense. The relationship makes more sense. There's a higher likelihood that they're going to close. I agree with you on the credit repair thing, but to that point, if you send someone to credit repair, no, but I agree with you.
Everything else I agree with.
If you send them to credit repair without the context of what else it's going to take, that's what I was trying to say. Sometimes it takes a minute. What else it takes to actually get you a yes down the road. You talk to people sometimes, they're like, I finally fixed my credit. And if you first then take an application and realize they don't make any money, man, you really do a service to them. Despite all my money, referring them to a repair company. I got no down payment, but here's my credit. Still can't buy. So, listen, is it wasted time sometimes or time that you could do something else? Yes, but it's a balance, right? We like when they come back 2 or 3 years later and actually have that.
I'm not judging people bad credit. The things happen to bad things happen to good people, right? Isn't that the lie? All sorts of things can happen. It's okay. My experience with the credit repair is that it's so few and far between that actually sign up for the programs. And maybe to your point, they don't have the money. I just feel like it's really hard to look in the mirror and say, I haven't paid these bills on time. And now all of a sudden I decided I want to, and or pay for another one is pay for the sins of the past as well. So maybe you're doing well this year, right? You've had a great year but last year, the beginning of the year was a really tough year. Your family went through something medical or whatever it is, right? There's 1,000 different things. For me, it's the story. The story will dictate to me whether or not what just happened to you is, all right, are you back saving? How much money do you have? How much money are you putting away? I spend everything. Right? This isn't going to work. You're not going to get, just hazy down. You have to.
And education has always been such an important part of what we do. I mean, Danny, just gave an example of that where they sat in the office with someone for 2 hours and went over it all. But that's educating them on what they need to do. It's helping them create a plan and educating them on what they need to do to execute, what they need to execute to get the end result that they want. Not everyone can follow a plan. Not everyone can create a plan. Not everyone can listen for an hour. Not everyone can listen for 5 minutes. But the ones that want to, we're going to give it to them. And it's not about giving the same exact thing to everyone and hoping that the conversion is there. There is still a filtering or a funneling process.
Of
But
course.
anyone that tells us they genuinely want to, and we're able to analyze with them and figure out that they're like, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. No matter how far that tunnel might be down the road, there's a potential for a light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to be there
Do this.
to try to, try to get them there.
Do you pull credit prior to asking for doc or no?
It just depends on the situation. I think, if in our conversation, it's pretty clear that the documents are going to be pretty clear, we'll pull credit without getting docs. If it's pretty clear that they've got 7 jobs, that they're all variable income, they have 14 bank accounts, that they move money between each of them, we're probably going to get those first just to make sure.
That it makes sense.
Correct.
We
Yeah.
get on perspective about asking them just to an extent.
That was one of the best decisions I've ever made as a business, and do what you want, obviously, it's your show. But when I stop, I don't pull anyone's credit. I will give you however long our initial consult is. Call it 10 minutes, 15, 30 minutes, whatever it is. Remember, I call myself the chief surgeon, as you guys do as well. You may not say that, but it's my analogy. But no, I'm just kidding. But the bottom line is, like, we feel that way. So my first 30 minutes to you are free consult. That's how I look at it. Anything you do after that, you've got to, like, I need your buy-in. So for me, it's not whether I can or can't. I do it out of sheer principle, and I stick to my guts. Now, I will write a BS pre-approval letter for one of my top agents, and I will say, hey, the Jones pre-approval letter, like, they haven't sent me any docs. Bob, are you okay with, like, are we on the same page? This is a BS pre-approval letter. And if that listing agent calls, like, if I know who they are, which is a good chance if it's a local person, like, I'm not going to lie. I don't mind writing you a BS, but if they call and ask me, do I have the docs? I'm going to say no.
So thank you for saying that, because, in our process where we may not pull credit depending on the doc situation, like, we absolutely do not, unless it is a BS pre-approval letter under the same context. We don't send out a pre-approval letter until we have their docs.
Okay.
More often than not, if it's necessary, we're getting verifications of employment. We're getting everything we need. I mean, if it's a trusted,
We do a pretty heavy lift on the front end.
which to unfairly is some criticism, like, hey, why do you guys ask for so much on the front end? And the reality is, we do it to protect the client, we do it to protect the agent, protect our reputation, to make sure that, like,
We're going to close the paper that we're handing out.
That part's an easy sell.
We can back it up.
Almost all buyers, so my line, steal it if you like it, if you're not already using it. But I always tell the person, like, if Sarah's the buyer, I'm like, Sarah, I'm doing all of this for you so that I'm going to be able to write you not only a pre-approval letter, but you're going to be able to negotiate better than someone else. Like, I'm going to allow you to put on air financing contingency. Go ahead, put 10 days. What's the money?
And we do the same. We do the same thing. And one of the lines that I use,
People get it once you do that. They're like, okay.
Yep.
It's about winning.
yes, correct. And one of the lines that I use when people are like, why do we need the documents or whatever? I said, like, I kind of say, I'm as motivated as you are. Right. So it's, do we stop and not pull credit till we get the stuff? No, that's not our protocol. But I'm as motivated as you are. So when people say, how long does it take? How motivated are you? If you're motivated, you want an answer quickly, we're going to prioritize your file if you get your documents in. We just took your application. You've got a needs list in your email already. Get that stuff in. We'll be back up tomorrow. Right. If it takes you a week, that's cool. It's just, you're going to fall on the priority list accordingly. And the happy medium there is, if you've got someone that is a busy professional that maybe you can tell from the conversation, they're a salaried borrower, they make good income, they whatever, but like, listen, I'm traveling this week, I don't have access to all my stuff, but blah, blah, blah. Like, we can use discretion. Why? Because we run a business. We are a business. That's what we do. But, protocol wise, like, we all prefer to have more. And if we need it to evaluate income or something like that, it becomes non-negotiable, because I can't be like, oh yeah, do you qualify? Well, I don't know, because like you told me your income is not really verifiable based on.
I really know. I mean, we work with a ton of self-employed borrowers. We all know they make $1 million right off $900,000.
Cafe down, just make $1 million.
So you, for how that works, and sometimes that's a tough conversation for someone that makes a ton of money that doesn't understand how that all works. So it is important for us, especially variable, self-employed, those types of things. I mean, those are non-negotiable.
You got to check.
Variable employed is the hardest one. Variable employee, and I've got 4 jobs, so I've got to get VOEs for the last. They're all settled. It can be. So for me, and this is what I've always done is I'll always stick to whether I can do it in an hour or whether it's going to be longer. I always say I'll have the pre-pool done within 24 hours of when I will just have lawyers when I receive your documents. And so for me, that's the incentive to do that. And I do that also because it's scalable. So I can control. So like the art, we're big on systems and processes. So it doesn't matter what loan officer, it doesn't matter what loan partner, everybody's supposed to work the exact same way. And so when I'm seeing that, I can see how long the loan partners are taking. I can control it. Hey, are we starting to get backed up? Great. Everyone needs to start saying 48 hours, right? If there's too many applications, like setting expectations for me has been my strength because my personality is a mix of both of yours, right? And like, there's going to be some people who don't like me because I'm very direct. I'm not sitting there trying to be like best friend sales strategy is not mine. But you'll know having a conversation with me when we're talking about mortgage. I know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah, I think a lot like me.
Right. And you're going to feel confident. I'm not here to talk, like, I don't know. I don't know you. See, if we're face to face and we can get to know and we got things to do, but I'm not like your best buddy phone sales game. But it's not my strap. It's more Sarah.
It is totally me. So before we wrap up, I just want to go forward. 2026 is sort of around the corner. I know he hates when I say that because he's like, there's so much left in 2025. Keep working. But it is. 2026 is around the corner. And what do you, next year, the years following, like what do you guys, Tokar team, what are you guys looking forward to doing? I know you're kind of revamping some stuff that you've got going on because you got really, really busy and kind of want to, make sure that things are sharpened and crossed and dotted. But what's going on? What's forward motion for you guys?
I think it starts with looking a little bit backwards. If we look at like the last 6 months and what we've done is we've trimmed a lot of fat. It's not about getting very lean in our business, but we've just taken a very like simple back to basics approach to what we did. We kind of said, hey, what brought us to the dance? Like that used to work and what's not working now. And it's all this extraneous stuff. So going back to our personalities, Danny is super simple. I am super complicated at times. So I am making an effort. We talked about this last week. I am making an effort to simplify and just say, like, let's get to a plan of action more quickly. And Danny is, in fairness, making an effort to be like, okay, I can give a little bit more detail, right? Like I gave that one time and it was like, okay, I say 100 words when I might have only needed like 10 or 15. And Danny said 2 words and thinks that you like wrote a book, So like literally. So we're trying to reconcile that. But the idea of it would just do the stuff that we know works and we enjoy doing, like we grow. And we enjoy our business more, and the money comes, and the volume comes.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing.
I love that.
We've got some sales targets where we want to get, some volume targets where we want to get, but at the end of the day, we're not chasing shiny objects or crazy systems or whatever to get there. We're just doing what we know works for us in any market, and like get ourselves to do it.
Do you any like whiteboarding or business planning or anything like that?
Very unorganized.
Okay. I'm gonna do a podcast,
But yes, we do.
we're gonna do a podcast with Ben from Signature, and I think one of the things like he does such an awesome job with his agents, but it doesn't matter. It could be for anybody in sales, and I think like I'm excited to actually do this because I think it's gonna really show. Again, the playbook's out there.
Yeah.
It's just people choose not to do it.
Or they overcomplicate it.
99% of
Or they don't want to start.
do anywhere. They're not going to do any kind of business plan. He's referring to real estate agents when he's talking about his, but it's the same thing in our world.
We're all chasing the deal.
It's the same thing. I said to Danny earlier today. I was listening to not a podcast, but like a webinar earlier today, and it was for real estate agents. I sent Danny a note. I was like, hey, I really like this. Like, I'm kind of listening a little bit in the background right now, but I'll have the recording and I'll share it. Because it was like just really simple concept. And I'm like, hey, we can absolutely apply this. Like, it's not like, oh, wait, you're a lender, not a realtor. You're like, can't do this. Same stuff.
My buddy was telling me about Shohei Ohtani. Are you a baseball fan or not?
I'm a Dodger fan. So.
Okay, well, all right. So, and he was telling me that he was reading his son. I guess there's a book about his life. And it talks all about his life in Japan and how he kind of like a four square. And so you write 4 goals in the squares of like what you want to accomplish. Like, what are your dreams? Like, what do you want to have? So in our world, we would say, all right, what do we want to hit? Is it money? Is it time off? Like whatever. Everybody wants something different. Is it units? Is it volume? Like whatever it is. And then right below it, below the squares, you write like, what are the activities that you commit to doing in order to achieve that? And you got to write it down. You know, I remember Carl White was one of my was one of my coaches. And I remember like literally one of the things they said, and I'm not married, I don't have kids. I got a dog. Like I don't have the same purpose. My why, like once you've made money, it's hard. Like there are times where I lose my motivation because I don't have the same thing. There was a moment where, and you should do this for yourself if you want, but like, they're like literally like put pictures up like right next to your phone, your reason, right? So like, let's say if you have 2 kids, like write yourself a fake college bill, like, or whatever it is, but like something is like, it's understanding your why. And it's like literally or putting pictures and every time you're making a phone call, like, all right, I got you, you know, like kind of like when you go on a field and go wherever it is, everyone's got a ritual, like you tap the top of the, you know, coming out of the dugout or whatever it is. But I love that he wrote out literally like, I guess it's children's books. I haven't seen it.
I'll buy it for you.
I appreciate that. So like reading, pretty good from my reading level. Start good levels, but yeah, like it's literally all he does is just write out your dreams and then write out what activities are you going to do, you know, to get them. What are you willing to sacrifice? You know, do you want to work 100 hours? Like I knew if I had known the story that you were willing to work 100 hours, I could already told you, like, to me, like if you work 100 hours right now, call me. I can show you how to make a lot more money in a lot less time. Yeah. The fact that you have that much drive and determination, unless you simply don't have the brain functionality to be what we do, outside of that, I can make you work.
Yeah, that's essentially, for lack of better words, the pitch that I got.
Think about it, like the hardest thing to find down here is people drive.
Well, no, and honestly, you know, you can't create that. They either have it or they don't.
Yeah.
Right? You know, you're born with that. Sometimes you develop that, you know, through life lessons or whatever, but you either have it or you don't. And to your question of like, you know, what does the future look like? You know, our first goal is to kind of get back to the volume levels that we were at before the market kind of, you know, tailed off a little bit. We've already made a little bit of progress in that. And it's really like Ari said, getting back to basics. When I started in the business, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know what a mortgage was. I didn't know how to sell anything. And my boss taught me that your transactions that you get, you got that opportunity to turn that one transaction into 5. Your buyer's agent, your seller's agent, your title company, your insurance company, and your buyer, right? Maybe 6 with your seller. You want to go even deeper, there's other. So, you know, we have put a focus on the transaction and making sure the people in the transaction notice what we're doing, understand what we're doing, find value in what we're doing, and then working with the people that want to work with us as opposed to like not chasing shiny objects, but chasing the shiny object realtor or real estate team that we think we want to work with because they do a ton of volume. It may not be necessarily the best fit.
Oh, and you do the right thing, like you attract,
right?
You attract the people that want to work with you, right? And like it's like we've all had it happen many, many times. But as we grew and scaled and added our team, Danny and I got further away from aspects of the transaction that really gave that. Like we did a good job, certain things. We did a great job in the rescuing and the structuring and all that, right? We didn't always do an amazing job throughout the transaction. It wasn't us working it on the back end, working it post-closing. So the further away from it we got, the less we grew from the way that we kind of grew coming up, which is from the transaction. So in fairness, like we're not doing as many transactions right now. But if you talk about conversion, you talk about percentage, the number of transactions that we're getting that, say, listing agent, or if a buyer's agent, if the buyer didn't come with that agent, it's like, we really like working with you guys. Like, when we get together, like you think about what we do, you did the brand new loan officer. What are you going to do? Well, go call realtors, right? Like most of those realtors don't want your phone call. We know there's a really small window where you can pick up the phone and get a realtor to answer. And it's if you're in a transaction with them, right? But when they're calling you after closing and saying like, hey, can we do this again? Like, when we get together, like you're doing something right. We're just kind of decided like, let's just keep on doing that something right more.
They should go after like financial advisors and CPAs. Like I'm highly
We've
analytical.
got a whole trench there that's like,
Yeah, I work do well for my style of thinking. You know, like go ahead, Mr. CPA. Like I know I don't know it from an IRS standpoint, or I know it from our standpoint inside and out. Like, you know, it's anyway. It's a really fun business. I can't thank you guys enough for being on the show. I want to make sure that we leave your contact information in the show notes. If there's a buyer who wants to do business with you, if there's a real estate agent who wants to do business with you, do you guys want loan officers or not? Are you growing your team or not?
If there's a loan officer that's interested in talking to you,
we will have a conversation. We have.
We'll take that up. I'm not sure if we're going to pay for this.
what's the best way to get a hold of you guys? Okay, we'll put everything in the show notes.
We got a team email, the Tokar team at benchmark.us, and we both have our cell phone.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being on that.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, that's enough whining for one day. We are so happy that you could join us today on Stop Whining About Real Estate. So please, not only listen, but subscribe, follow us, download, share, and if you're feeling it, give us a 5-star review. Hey, and if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email stopwhining@choicemortgage.com. Thanks so much.